The United Nations warned on Tuesday that a US-backed private aid distribution group was a distraction from what was needed to address critical shortages of food in Gaza. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF, said it began delivering food on Monday to designated sites. The Israel-endorsed plan follows a nearly 3-month blockade that was only partially lifted in recent days. It is also unfolding amid fierce Israeli attacks on the enclave. On Monday, an airstrike on a school building killed dozens of Palestinians who had been sheltering inside, according to medics. The GHF has drawn criticism from the UN and others as insufficient to tackle the humanitarian crisis, as warnings of famine loom over the enclave. In Gaza City, Fatma Ahmed spoke of the hunger she and her 13 children were suffering. No flour, no food to feed the children or the adults. Everyone is hungry, no one is eating, she said. Abdallah al-Sultan said he was exhausted from walking long distances to find food for his family. According to aid officials, the foundation's aid plan will rely on 4 major distribution centers in southern Gaza and will screen families for links to Hamas militants. The group's executive director resigned on Sunday, saying its principles of humanity and impartiality were compromised under the plan. On Tuesday, the UN's Humanitarian Office spokesperson Jens Lerche urged the world to keep its focus on the critical task at hand.
It is a distraction from what is actually needed, which is a reopening of all the crossings into Gaza, a secure environment within Gaza, and faster facilitation of permissions and final approvals of all the emergency supplies that we have just outside the border and needs to get in.
Thousands of Palestinians rushed into an aid distribution center in Rafah on Tuesday, desperate for food after an almost 3-month-old Israeli blockade. The aid was being distributed by the U.S. and Israel-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF. Large parts of a fence appeared to be torn down as people jostled their way onto the site. GHF said the number of people at one site was so great on Tuesday that its team had to temporarily pull back and allow people to, quote, take aid safely and dissipate to avoid casualties. The Israeli military said its troops fired warning shots in the area outside the compound and that control was re-established. GHF said it began operations on Monday, but Palestinians appeared to have heeded warnings, including from Hamas, about biometric screening procedures employed at the foundation's aid distribution sites, and stayed away. On Tuesday, many seem to have dropped those concerns.
We are dying of hunger. The children are saying, "Father, I want to eat, so I want to sell even my blood to feed them." We can't find anything to eat. I saw the youth running, so I wanted to come. Some were afraid, but I thought, let it be. I need to feed the children. We have starved, died. Stop the war.
By late Tuesday afternoon, GHF said it had distributed about 8,000 food boxes, equivalent to about 462,000 meals. Israel and the GHF said, without providing evidence, that Hamas had tried to block civilians from reaching the aid distribution center. Hamas denied the accusation. Israel says the Switzerland-based GHF is a U.S.-backed initiative, and that its forces will not be involved in the distribution points where food will be handed out. Humanitarian groups briefed on the foundation's plan say anyone accessing aid will have to submit to facial recognition technology. Palestinians worry the technology will be used by Israel to track and potentially target them. The United Nations and other international aid groups have boycotted the foundation. They say it undermines the principle that humanitarian aid should be distributed independently of the parties to a conflict, based on need. UN spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric called the situation heartbreaking.
As the Secretary General noted last week, we and our partners have a detailed, principled, operationally sound plan supported by member states to get aid to desperate population.